In the freezing cold of Mesopotamia, history awaits the massacre of the Ayyubid force in the hands of a 16-year-old boy suffering from leprosy. In the year 1177, Count Philip of Flanders arrived at Acre with numerous knights carrying heavy armor made of steel and iron. The same year, Baldwin IV allied with the Byzantine Empire to launch a naval attack on Egypt. Acknowledging the immense wealth and power Philip possessed, Baldwin offered him the regency of Jerusalem. Philip agreed, but only on one term, that he was made king of any new lands conquered in Egypt. This ambitious greed from Philip angered both Baldwin and the Byzantine emperor, who were funding most of the campaign. As a result, the planned invasion of Egypt was cancelled, the Byzantine fleet left, and Philip instead led his forces north to attack Seljuk strongholds at Hama and Harim. Witnessing the abandonment of the attack on Egypt and much of the Crusaders' movement towards the north, Saladin prepared an army of 26,000 cavalry and about 1,000 of his personal Mamluk guards to invade the Crusader states and seize the opportunity to conquer the Holy Land of Jerusalem. When the news of Saladin's march towards Ascalon reached Jerusalem, despair spread in every heart. The 16-year-old Baldwin, whose skin was fading away with every breath he took, was considered too young to deal with such a massive force. Yet he didn't hesitate to confront Saladin on his way. According to Baldwin's tutor and the chief chronicler of the Crusaders, William of Tyre, Baldwin rallied with 376 knights to Ascalon on his horseback, along with Reynold of Chatillon, Balian of Ibelin, and some other nobles to defend his kingdom. At the time, leprosy had only affected his right arm. Thanks to the special training he received in his youth, he was still able to ride effectively and fight like a warrior. He was more skilled than men who were older than himself in controlling horses and in riding them at a gallop, says William of Tyre. On November 22, 1177, Baldwin reached Ascalon just before Saladin took control of the city. He avoided open battle due to being outnumbered. This left him and his knights trapped in the city, while Saladin had a clear path toward Jerusalem with only small garrisons in his way. Saladin left part of his battalion to maintain the siege at Ascalon, while he advanced with most of his troops towards Jerusalem. According to some Christian chroniclers, Saladin's army plundered Ramla and Lydda on their move towards Jerusalem, while the people of the latter fled to the citadel of David in terror. When Baldwin observed the small number of troops Saladin had left at Ascalon, he seized the opportunity to carry out an assault. He vanquished the soldiers maintaining the siege and began shadowing Saladin's scattered army. Since Frankish tactics required infantry as well as cavalry, Baldwin issued the arriere ban, a general call to arms, and townsmen began gathering to his side. Fearing Saladin's numerical superiority, the Crusaders tried their best to force him to fight in unfavorable conditions. According to Michael Ehrlich, Baldwin passed close to the Ayyubid camp in Ramla in order to persuade Saladin to pursue him. Finally, Baldwin succeeded in maneuvering Saladin to the place he wanted, a marshy area, where numerical superiority became more of a burden than an advantage. This tactical maneuver was led by Balian of Ibelin, who knew the terrains, the swamps, creeks, forests, and hillocks along the way as the back of his hands. The Christians pursued the Muslims along the coast, finally catching their enemies at Montgisard, near Ramla. Forming for battle, the Frankish Knights and the Templars, even though numerically inferior, executed a full frontal heavy armored cavalry charge at the center of Saladin's hurriedly formed battle lines, immediately inflicting heavy casualties. The impact was immediate and devastating, creating a wedge, breaking the enemy formation. They slaughtered an important number of enemies, several of whom were Saladin's generals. Faced by the rout of his troops, Saladin found shelter in the heart of his elite guard, composed of 1,000 highly disciplined Mamelukes. The Frankish Knights and Templars regrouped to charge this last line of resistance. They broke down the Muslim lines, cutting through the Mamluk elite guards, and nearly reached Saladin, who narrowly avoided being killed during the clashes by escaping on a camel. It was a complete massacre of the Ayyubids in the hands of Baldwin IV, who emerged victorious at the age of 16. Baha ad-Din ibn Shaddad, along with some modern historians, claim Reynold de Chatillon was the real commander at Montgisard, as Baldwin IV was in no condition to hold command. Even such a devastating defeat couldn't dishearten Saladin to fight on the path of his lord, and with the grace of God, he avenged his loss in the famous Battle of Hattin, where he became the doomsday of his enemies.